Collective, you were healing, they were plotting. While you were trying to evolve, they were praying for your downfall. They smiled in your face, but their heart was full of envy. Every milestone you hit lit a fire of jealousy they couldn't hide forever. Seven of Wands. You were fighting for your peace, setting boundaries, choosing the high road, and still had to protect yourself from energy you never invited. Five of Swords. They weren't confused. They were calculated, trying to win at all costs, even if it meant sabotaging the very person who loved them right. Temperance. You were in your healing era, balancing what broke you with what rebuilt you. Spirit poured protection over your path and started snatching masks off the people you prayed for, because while you were tending to your soul, they were tending to their ego, plotting like you weren't chosen, scheming like spirit wasn't watching. You didn't imagine the shift, but that wasn't paranoia. That was discernment. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Aries, you were healing. They were plotting while you were trying to evolve. They were praying for your downfall. They smiled in your face, but their heart was full of envy. Every time you bounced back, they took it personal, like your strength was a threat. Seven of Wands, you were protecting your peace, standing your ground, trying to move different, but you had to fight off the same people claiming they loved you. Five of Swords, they weren't confused, they were competing, playing mind games, trying to keep you second guessing your own worth. Temperance, you were learning to pause before reacting to find balance in chaos, and spirit was right there, exposing every jealous hand behind your back. Comments, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Taurus, you were healing. They were plotting while you were building slowly. They were waiting on you to fall. They clapped in your face but whispered behind your back. Jealous of how you kept elevating without breaking. Seven of Wands, you stayed 10 toes down and guarding your growth, choosing peace over pettiness, even when your silence made them uncomfortable. Five of Swords. They wanted you to quit, to dim your light, to second guess your gifts because their ego couldn't handle your blessings. Temperance. You kept it graceful, kept it patient, and that made them matter because spirit was matching your pace with divine timing. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Gemini, you were healing. They were plotting while you were reflecting. They were reacting. You changed your vibe. They started throwing shade. Seven of Wands, you were setting boundaries, not being distant, but they took it personal because your evolution didn't include their chaos. Five of Swords. They tried to twist the narrative, play the victim, gaslight your growth like you owed them your energy forever. Temperance, you were learning to respond, not react, and spirit stepped in, balancing your scales, clearing paths they tried to block with drama. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Cancer, you were healing. They were plotting. You were nurturing yourself. They were feeding lies, acting like they supported you while secretly hoping you'd spiral. Seven of Wands, you were guarding your heart, learning to say no without guilt, but it made them uncomfortable because they were never used to your strength. Five of Swords, they threw darts, then called it love, made you question your intuition while they competed in a game you weren't playing. Temperance, you were choosing peace, pouring into yourself quietly, and spirit returned the favor, shielding you from fake love and silent envy. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Leo, you were healing. They were plotting while you were pulling back to protect your glow. They were secretly praying for it to dim. They called it confidence, but treated it like competition, mad that you chose elevation over attention. Seven of Wands. You had to stand tall even in isolation because protecting your light meant stepping away from the ones who drained it. Five of Swords. They were jealous of your presence, your progress, your peace. So they stirred the pot, hoping you'd explode and ruin your own blessings. Temperance, but you played it cool. Let spirit handle what ego couldn't, and that calmness was your real comeback. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Virgo, you were healing. They were plotting. You were fixing your foundation. They were throwing shade, smiling like they supported you, but secretly hoping you'd break under pressure. Seven of Wands, you built new habits, kept your circle tight, and even in solitude, you stayed solid. Five of Swords, they tried to twist your silence into arrogance, your peace into distance because your glow up threatened their comfort zone. Temperance, you trusted divine timing. You waited for the dust to settle and spirit reveal what needed to go because not everyone can walk with you through your healing. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Libra, you were healing. They were plotting. You were choosing balance. They were choosing drama. You tried to make peace. They tried to stir conflict. Seven of Wands, you stood firm even when your voice shook because spirit told you not everyone deserved your grace. Five of Swords, they made you feel guilty for growing, tried to bait you back into chaos, but their intentions were never pure temperance. You stayed composed even when provoked, and that scared them because they realized they couldn't control you anymore. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Scorpio, you were healing. They were plotting. You were transforming. They were triggered. They didn't want you healed. They wanted you reactive. Seven of Wands. You had to protect your space and your sanity because they thought they had lifetime access to your energy. Five of Swords. They were calculating, petty, jealous, and pretending like they weren't rooting for your downfall. Temperance, but you saw it, felt it, and spirit validated every feeling by elevating you in front of those who doubted you. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Sagittarius, you were healing. They were plotting. You were chasing growth. They were chasing gossip. They didn't want you free. They wanted you small. Seven of Wands. You were focused on expansion and they were focused on distractions, trying to throw you off your path. Five of Swords. They competed in silence, but spirit heard their thoughts and rerouted your path away from the ones who never wanted you to win. Temperance, you kept your head up, kept your heart grounded, and that's why you're still standing while their mask is falling. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Capricorn, you were healing. They were plotting. You were building in silence. They were talking in circles, jealous of the structure you were creating because they had nothing solid to stand on. Seven of Wands, you guarded your progress, kept it quiet. Let your actions speak, and that silence exposed their envy. Five of Swords. They wanted to distract you, derail you, keep you in cycles because your stability triggered their insecurity. Temperance. But you moved with strategy, with grace and spirit, kept blessing you in front of the ones who wanted you to break. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Aquarius, you were healing. They were plotting. You were elevating your mind. They were stuck in their ego, watching your glow with envy, but pretending it was love. Seven of Wands, you disconnected to reconnect with yourself, and they took that as betrayal because they could no longer feed off your light. Five of Swords, they tried to manipulate your empathy, twist your kindness, but you saw through the facade and chose your peace over their approval. Temperance, you let spirit guide you, not gossip, and that decision changed everything. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away. Pisces, you were healing. They were plotting. You were pouring into your spirit. They were pouring into drama, pretending to care while resenting your growth. Seven of Wands. You started saying no, pulling back your energy, and suddenly they showed their true colors. Five of Swords. They were never confused. They were competitive mad that you no longer played the role they assigned you. Temperance. You chose alignment even when it meant walking alone, and spirit honored that by removing the ones who were draining your soul. Comment, I'm protected if you felt energy shift when you pulled away.